We're here at the National War Memorial. This is where that infamous video clip that's been featured on CTV, CBC, was filmed a couple of days ago. And we're going to get to that in a moment. You can hear some of the truckers honking in the background. It's quite early yet, and it's cold. And I wanted to talk for a moment about this. Is a classic study how you marginalize and demonize people. A woman in a white parka, looking like a nice lady. She stepped up on these stairs, and notice there's no barricade, nothing to stop her, nothing here indicate that there's something wrong to step up here. And she shouted from the video twice, "Freedom, freedom." And this has been twisted and demonized by the media elite, that she somehow mockingly desecrated this sacred place. Our Minister of Defense, Anita Anand, was talking about how it was so totally reprehensible. What I saw was just a woman, I don't know from where in Canada, they've never introduced us to her, who was happy to be in Ottawa. Maybe she has ancestors who died in one of the wars to fight for Canada's freedom. All she was doing was freedom, freedom. And somehow this was a breach of whatever etiquette. And so that has been spun. That's been one of the major stories. That and the supposed desecration of the Terry Fox statue has been kind of the major spin on how terrible things are. And this is turned against a whole group of people. What we have met here are great people, happy people. They just want something good for our country. They're real people who love this nation. And so I'm a little pumped up. I don't know, Nathan, what you're feeling. You're here with a microphone, so feel free to chime in. Maybe I'm being too serious here. Look, you got a big smile on your face.
No, I think it's good. I think it's good to ask questions. What was the lady's intentions? I don't know if our defense minister, if the media, do they know what her intentions were? She could be celebrating. Many people that we've met here, they're great supporters of our military, great supporters of the work that our military's done for our freedom. So I could make that claim as quickly as someone else could make a claim to the contrary. It's good to find out the facts before denouncing an individual.
And you know, I talked to some truckers here yesterday from Saskatchewan, from Windsor, Ontario, and they said, you know, all we wanted to say by the upside down flag at the Terry Fox statue, we love Terry Fox. I think all Canadians, you got to be pretty cold-hearted to not have a soft spot for Terry Fox. He said, all we were doing, we were sending a signal, our country is in distress. Should people be maligned and demonized because they think our country is in distress? And further, many of our viewers, you're concerned about persecuted Christians in different parts of the world. Here you have a classic study how it's done. This is how you do it. You take a non-event, a nothing happening, and then you focus on it, and you get people to talk about it and make it into something that it was not, and then you use that. I'm not saying Canada, but that is how it's done around the world when you want to demonize the people, being the Jewish people, being Muslims, being Christians, being any other group. In this case, it seems to be truckers. And we don't want any part of that. Now let's treat people, and let's treat all Canadians and all people with dignity. And so, final comment from you here, Nathan.
Well, I'm glad we're here. There seems to be a rather negative bias in the media against what's going on, so I'm glad we're here to see what's happening for ourselves.
Yeah, I was talking to Tina this morning, who's now with us, and she said, you wouldn't believe what the headlines are saying, and that is not what we are encountering here. So anyhow, we'll walk around and see what we find out.
Okay, I'm here with Sophie. Sophie, what are you doing in Ottawa?
I'm here to fight for my children and for her right and for her freedom.
Thank you. And who's with you here?
My mother.
God bless you, mother. God bless you. I'm with William from Canmore. William, that's a long trek.
Yes.
I've been to Canmore many times.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Well, it's a spiritual battle we're involved in right now, and what they're doing with all these mandates is just the tip of the iceberg. They're going for taking us right down, and I'm not going to comply with any of that. I'm not going to let them coerce me into any of it.
What are you feeling with all the other truckers? Because when you look at some of the mainstream media, they give the idea that this is some hate group or extremist group. We are not picking that up for sure.
Yeah,
but what do you hear? What are you feeling?
There's nothing but love around here. Everybody here has been really good. Everybody here is just all shaking hands and getting along really well and doing their part. And anybody that we see trying to cause any issues, we're right on top of it. Like, I mean, we even got random people picking up garbage around here, and it's like, it's not what the news is telling you. Like, I mean, they're paid to tell you
what
that
was your
nonsense.
emotion coming all the way driving, and you saw the people lining on the road? How did you feel about that?
That, the words can't even explain. The support we're getting, and for them to say that this is a fringe minority when you can clearly see that at least half of the population is on board with this, I don't know where they get away with saying that.
Well, I want to encourage you. My daughter and my son, they live in Niagara. They were out there. My grandkids, my one grandson, he's 1 year old, had his birthday, and the other one, my other grandson, is about 3 months old, and they were out there cheering on the truckers along that route. And my daughter called me, and she said to me, "Dad, our hopes and dreams for a great Canada is carried on those trucks." So I want you to take that with all the memories you have all the way from Alberta.
Well, this is history, and we all need to be a part of this. The more the merrier. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter how much or little you support it, just being part of it is a big deal. We need it. We need it all.
How do you guys feel? You're from London, right?
London, yeah.
Do you mind if I ask you a question? It's okay.
How do you feel about what William shared here? Are you kind of feeling along the same way?
Oh, yeah, along the same way, yeah. It's very encouraging to see what we've seen on the way up. We came late, we didn't see all of it, but just the amount of people that are out there supporting what we're doing, there's so many more that can't be here, that want to be here. It's huge.
Of course, this is a Monday morning way here. Most people are at work. We met truckers here. We wanted to be here, but we had to go back. How are you feeling about, what we're talking about?
Oh, I feel totally overwhelmed with the support that people are giving. The love and the respect that we see, the amount of donations, the food, the love, the notes, the little kids going by say thank you for our freedom, fight for our freedom. We need you guys, and it's great. And if it's by the grace of God, things will turn around.
Thank you. You know, we are noticing concerned Canadians. People are just concerned about our country. Thanks for talking with us. Yeah. Why did you come to Parliament Hill?
Freedom of choice. I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-mandate. If anyone wants to get vaccinated, I'm all for it. I'll support it. I'll pay. I'm glad to have my tax dollars go for it. I'm here for freedom of speech and fairness. The mainstream media has misreported on a lot of COVID issues, but especially this gathering of people. What did I see this morning? I saw people feeding people. I saw people with their own shovels, shoveling the sidewalk. Yesterday, I saw people picking up the garbage here on Parliament Hill. Do you see hardly any garbage here? The mayor said it was going to be a mess. It's clean. People are just taking care of each other. They're tired. They've been locked down. And they're just looking for some freedom and fairness.
About half an hour ago, I was listening to our Prime Minister in a live press conference. It could still be going on for all I know. He said, and I quote, it's very fresh in my mind, that the people here are inciting violence against fellow citizens. What is your reaction to that?
Well, you know, I didn't vote for Justin, and if somebody wants to vote for Justin, that's fine. I should call him the Prime Minister. But he is mischaracterizing a group of people, and that is called hate speech. He has called unvaxxed people misogynists and racist, anti-science. He's called them fringe. It's an effort to divide and conquer, hold power through division. You know, he needs to be a leader. JFK was a leader. Lead your people. Bring them together. Don't divide them for your own purposes. That's why I'm here, because I'm 57. I'm retired. I'm passionate about my rights and freedom of speech. That's what everyone's here for. I have not seen a larger multicultural group that is supporting each other. There was a couple of Indigenous ladies speaking yesterday morning, and it really touched my heart, you know. I maybe have not always been supportive of Indigenous rights. It's just not my community. I wasn't anti, but she really touched my heart. She's just a person fighting for her children and her kids, and, you know, she's a grandmother. Why isn't everyone fighting for each other? Why are we trying to divide and conquer? You know, just everyone here is fighting for each other.
So I think it's fair to say what you're telling me is being here has even kind of stirred a compassion it's more love, certainly, than fear or hate that's going on.
It's like a Canada Day. You know, Saturday was like a Canada Day. And, you know, you're going to find a little bit of extremism no matter where you go. And I don't support that. And the huge majority of people here don't support that. And they call it out. Yesterday, you know, the Terry Fox statue was a flashpoint. And he has always been a hero to me. And yesterday, I made a point of going around every hour, picking up cigarette butts in front or around, and making sure there was no flags or anything defacing. And the same with the War Memorial. I was over there. Was CBC there reporting on people standing guard, unofficially, because they're not officials, standing guard with signs, respect this site, cleaning it up? You know, where's the reporting on that?
You know, since you're bringing that up, I'm saying my thought on that is, here's a woman who is happy to be in Ottawa. She's probably a proud Canadian. And she shouts freedom. There's no barricade. There's nothing stopping her. There's nothing telling her, don't step up here. I think it's terrible how she's been demonized. Whether that is proper etiquette or not, I don't know.
Did anyone ask her intent? And, you know, yeah, for sure. It's the Twitter world of a picture and 40 words to define, a movement. This started as a trucker convoy. It moved into a protest, and now it's a movement.
I'm there, and I'm not a trucker. I'm just a supporter. I came already Saturday night. Somebody rattled my chain, let's say, about all this, and I says, the heck with it. I'm packing my suitcase, some food. I came here. I got a mattress in my vehicle, my van. I've been sleeping in there, and the truckers I'm with, they're great people. They give you food, whatever, and people alone just walking the street, they're coming with treats, donuts, coffee, pizza. So you can't say that we're bad people. Everybody's good.
I just literally heard our Prime Minister say that the people here shouldn't be associated with because they incite to violence against fellow citizens. Should I be scared of you right now?
No, you shouldn't be scared of us. And the policemen are all great. They're all nice for the ones I've seen. And we actually blocked the road, I think Saturday. We blocked the roads where we were at for maybe 5-10 minutes. So they came along and made us move, which was fine. But about 5 minutes later, I would say a captain or somebody came back, and he says, you guys, you can't block the traffic, but he said you could slow it down.
Being a nice Canadian, you went along with it, right?
He said you could slow it down. That's what he said.
I'm with Laura Lynn Thompson from Vancouver, or the greater Vancouver area. Great to see you here on Parliament Hill. You've been here for a few days.
I've been here for a few days, and I've never seen so many grown men cry. A lot of people are at the end of their rope, and to see the truckers having come forward, the truckers you interviewed today, it's giving everyone hope again.
Let me ask you, I just listened to a press conference with our Prime Minister. He said, and it's very fresh in my mind, I say quote unquote, that the people here should not be associated with because they incite to violence against fellow citizens. What's your reaction?
I can't believe our Prime Minister. He calls us terrorists, racist, misogynists. We have a crowd filled with people of all different colors. Many different religions are here. People are from the First Nations are here supporting us. Our Prime Minister has lost the plot. His father crafted with the Honorable Brian Peckford the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
We have not been looking for, shall we say, born-again Christian truckers. We've just been talking to people. I do sense a spiritual impetus. I sense some of them, when I say God bless you to them, I ask them if they're believers, and I can hear that. What are you picking up as a spirit? What's happening spiritually?
I'm shocked how many Christians are in this group. So on Sunday morning, we gathered, we said the Lord's Prayer, and we sang Amazing Grace. There looked to be a lot of tears in the crowd. Not one person, not wanting, oh, don't make this a religious. I mean, sometimes Canada's become kind of very secular. None of that here. There, and along with the truckers that I've talked to, they'll say God bless all the time, and that they came because they felt that it was a calling in their spirit. It's just so amazing. Trudeau has divided our nation for 2 years, but the truckers have brought us together in 2 weeks.
We're here still at the National War Memorial, and we just ran into Jason here from Edmonton. Let me just ask you point blank, why are you here, Jason?
My kids. I don't see a very good future for them if we keep sitting back and letting this tyrannical government take every God-given, taking our free will that God gave us and covering it in mandates.
Well, we just ran into Alan here from British Columbia. I really admire the truckers that came all the way from BC. That's a commitment. Alan, let me ask you, why are you here?
Well, for the last 2 years, I haven't felt Canadian with the demands that have been put on us. When I left, it's emotional. When I left BC, the way I felt, I thought, maybe it's just me coming across this country through the prairies. -30, everybody out there waving their flags, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, 4 hours late we were, they're still out there waiting, all the way at every crossroad, at every corner, at every overpass. Can I be that wrong? I've never seen the unity that's happening right now. Never. I'm 56 years old. My dad fought in the war. I'm a member of the Royal Canadian Legion. I was a president of the Legion. Those freedoms, they're dear to my heart. And the unity I see right now, never seen before.
Have you followed how the media is covering this? May I say, from my perspective, pretty slanted, but have you followed any of that?
We are videotaping everything ourselves and sharing on our Facebook so everybody else can share it, because the media isn't covering it. The media is only showing what they want people to see.
Well, part of the reason we drove up here last night is because what I watched CTV after I came home from church Sunday morning, and I said, they are demonizing those people. It's so unfair, and in whatever way we can, we want to send a different picture. Thanks a lot for talking to us, Alan.
You're welcome. And, some of the things we've seen, the defacing of the Terry Fox statue, the unknown soldier. We went out and bought garbage bags, bought gloves, and we're cleaning it up. But you look around, you videotape any of this, everybody's dragging a garbage bag. We're not the bad people. We're hardworking, tax-paying.
I talked to a lady yesterday. She said the whole thing with the Terry Fox, the statue, they put the flag upside down. It was just to say we feel our country is in distress. They love Terry Fox. Is that how you feel? That's the sentiment?
I've never liked our flag upside down. Some people believe that is the statement of a country in distress. I've heard that. So Terry Fox went halfway across this country with a flag on his back. They were just putting a Canadian flag on his back. I've heard stories of the Confederate flag. And I said, if there's one Confederate flag in all of the Canadian flags I've seen, I don't even think it shows up on the mathematical scale, that percentage. It doesn't.
It sure does. I think they're flying drones to try to find one. And who knows? It could be a plant carrying that flag.
Absolutely. And if
that's not conspire theories, but, it would be not hard to deduct that you send someone who's against what you're doing out there and it's one Confederate flag. It's a shame for them to even mention it.
Yeah, one. And if that's what they want to pull out of this, pull that out of it. But you got to open your eyes to what the rest of this is, to what the rest of the country is doing, to what the other countries are doing, because what Canada's doing. I wish I was more educated, but there is a thing called the Charter of Rights, and it is our right to do what we're doing, and it is our right to live free. So I want everybody to know that it's our right.
We found a quieter spot here. There's a lot of honking going on. You know what's happening. One of the thoughts that struck me, and I'm going to ask you, Nathan, just what your thought is. Canadians are a bit shocked. The Canadians we're meeting here are shocked at what's happening. They feel their freedoms eroding. And that's so sad, but I also see an opportunity in this. This is an opportunity for the gospel, for a spiritual awakening. When people are searching, they're looking for something. They don't even know what they're looking for. And ultimately, as some of the people I interview have said, the ultimate satisfaction for the human heart is the Lord Jesus Christ. I'll give you this microphone here. I don't know if you picked that up. There's this sense of lostness. There's this sense of where are we going? There's a sense of confusion. And that's so sad. I don't want to say that that's a great thing. That's sad.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity in that.
That's right. Many people have, and young and old that we've talked to today, have never experienced this here in Canada. No. We talked to one man from India, said he came here for freedom and now he feels more free back where he came from. So we've never experienced this. So people are looking for, as you say, the fulfillment of their heart, satisfaction, and we're not finding it right now in our society.
And on that point, Nathan, I think, and I say this with all respect, that people who come from countries where they in childhood experience maybe persecution, restrictions of their freedom, they are more sensitive. In a sense, it's unthinkable that Canada wouldn't be free if you're born here, so you don't pick it up as easily. But we want to emphasize that ultimate freedom is based on the Lord Jesus Christ, and we believe that would be a tremendous foundation for our country.
Absolutely, and we don't all have to agree on everything that's said, but they're fighting for freedom, and people we've talked to are not everyone thinks the same way, but it's ultimately about freedom of choice.
It's really time to pray for our country. I hope you'll do that.
I'm with Mike and Vicky, farmers from Alberta. That's a long trip to come all the way from Alberta. I go to Alberta often, have a lot of friends there.
Yeah.
What made you come here?
Well, the biggest reason is, you look on Facebook and you type and you send messages, and the reality is if you really want to do something, you got to make it happen. So, instead of reading tweets and stuff, we jumped in the truck, we joined the Convoy. We came in with Convoy West, which was just an unbelievable experience. And just we're here to get the message out and support the truckers and be a part of history.
Vicky, can I ask you, I know that you saw people lining the roads and bridges, overpass. How did you feel coming all that way?
It's just unbelievable, the people and the happiness. We just talked to somebody and he said it's more like a festival than a protest, because people just really want not only the freedom, but they want to feel good about what they're doing.
Somebody told me that, I think it was in Manitoba, they'd come from Vancouver area, from BC, that the convoy was delayed 4 hours. It was very bitter cold, and people still stayed there and waited. That ought to touch your heart, right?
Well, it's the Canadian spirit, right? That's the backbone of our country, is these people who are tough and able to make things happen. So those guys standing out there in the cold weather, like, my hat off to them. That's huge support. And when you're driving from Alberta and you're in hour number 30 or whatever of driving solid, that really pumps you up, is to see those people out there in the cold cheering. And not just people, but it was everyone. We saw grandmas and little kids, the entire spectrum, and that level of support and that level of unity is just huge.
Now, can I ask you a little bit more pointed question? It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek.
All right, bring it
I
on.
was just an hour ago listening to our Prime Minister in a press conference, and he said, so it's fresh, I'm quoting it correctly, he said that you shouldn't associate with the people here because you are inciting violence against fellow citizens. And somehow standing here talking, I don't feel really afraid of you, that you're going to attack me. I don't know if I should. If I should, you're really putting on a good act. But seriously, that was the tongue-in-cheek part. What is your reaction to that comment? Inciting violence against fellow citizens.
What do you feel when you hear that?
I feel like we have seen absolutely the opposite. We have seen joy and happiness and hope. Mostly hope. That's the biggest thing.
Well, and also the key is we're here seeing it. Yeah. We're seeing it firsthand. Not only down here in Parliament, meeting people and everyone's friendly, but we're out near the airport in a hotel, and you see people out there, and it's the same thing. It's all positive and energy. On the other side, there's some fear. There's some fear in this city, and I don't really blame them, because they've heard mixed messages. But even with that fear, it's positive, and it's good to see.
I'm here to support my grandchildren. None of this experimental drugs. Until it's a proven drug, it should not be forced onto anybody. This pulls your heartstrings. I drove with the convoy across Alberta. Every overpass, every small town, they are supporting us. This has to stop.
So how do you feel when political leaders say that you're unacceptable and you're a fringe person? What do you feel in comparison to what you saw on the trip?
It's amazing what you see. People are coming out to support the truckers. The truckers have the wheels to roll, but the public are pushing the trucks.
Well, we're here to support the Freedom Rally. Well, we know that other people have obligations in their life. I don't today, so I'm coming up here to continue this rally so we ensure that we get what we're after.
These lockdowns and restrictions, how have they affected you the last couple of years?
I can't travel. I can't go to a restaurant. I can't go congregate with friends, or so they say. I don't know. Break it down to you in numbers, 4 lockdowns, 3 jabs, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, 1 stupid public equals 0 freedoms. So you do the numbers, buds. That's all you got to do. Figure it out. Everyone's figuring it out.
You just walked by here and I was making a comment about that I saw on these trucks on the front window, they have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and you kind of shouted, and that's why I said come back.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
What is it about that charter that excites you?
Well, it's not the charter that excites. Well, the charter does excite me, as long as we stand by it. They've been violating it for a long time. But I just want to make sure that everyone knows the message that's being projected out here is of love and of freedom, and there's no hate out here. Like, look at the streets. There was people partying here on Saturday night. There's no garbage. People clean up. Yes, some people took advantage of some of the monuments, and they reported on it and said it was bad and hateful. But they don't show the videos of them actually cleaning it up and respecting Terry Fox.
We don't believe those people had ill intent.
Trust me, if anyone's got some ill will, we're going to find out who it is, and we'll make sure we'll identify it.
I feel that the mainstream media has gone on steroids reporting on that aspect. So we want to talk to people, and everybody we're met is just having the same attitude.
It's exactly it, man. I was through this pandemic, I was feeling lost, and I was feeling like, I was losing my country. I served in Afghanistan. This isn't stolen valor. This is my old uniform I used to wear with my last name, my rank, and my branch. Okay? I felt like I was defeated. I had to show my papers to go on a plane or a train or to a restaurant. And then when I came up here on Saturday night, oh my God, it was just love, and people were dancing and drinking and toking and smoking, and it was all the Canadiana that was out there. Like, look, we're not armed with rifles. We're not here with tanks and bombs. We're here with our voices, our hockey sticks, our flags, our beers, our blunts, and our broads. And that's how we're going to win this, man. That's how we're going to win this.
I just want to caution you. I love what you're saying. We are a Christian program, so I don't know about the token and the smoking, but I'll put it on the program, okay?
The Canadian flag draped on Terry Fox's statue was not defacement. The Canadian flag is a symbol of love and respect and nationalism.
We're coming here to fight for our freedoms and our rights, for our kids, for everybody.
Has these lockdowns and restrictions affected you and your family?
Yes, I'm a cross-border driver, and I can't go south now because of the mandates, and I think that's not right.
What are you experiencing here?
I'm experiencing what Canada used to be all about, not what it is now. This is the old Canada here. Everybody's happy, everybody loves one another. Don't believe the false media. This is not a hate thing. This is not a violent protest. This is peaceful. Don't believe them.
I'm here with some folks from Barrie. It's minus 15 degrees. What are you doing here?
Well, we're fighting for our freedom. What else? We have come together for 2 years, and we have fought for our freedom, and we continue to fight for our freedom. It has impacted us all in different ways. We're all passionate about different mandates and what we don't want to see anymore, but we come together with our brothers and sisters on the weekend for freedom, liberté. That is what we need. This is a free country.
Have you been following how the media is covering this? What do you think about that?
Well, you're looking at the wrong media, right? That's paid media. If you go to the media platforms and to these freedom fighters platforms, you're going to see the truth. The world wants to see the truth, but Trudeau does not want to let out the truth. It is peaceful. It is full of love. It is electric. Because the end goal is always the same for all of us, freedom.
Canadians love Terry Fox. I think you got to be the most cold-hearted person to not just love what he did for our country and his compassion towards others. We've been talking to truckers, and every trucker loves Terry Fox that we've talked to. And we talked to one who said that, I don't like the upside-down flag, and he was a member of the Royal Canadian Legion. Another one said, well, it was just some sincere person who wanted to send a message that our country is distressed. But nobody would desecrate the memory of Terry Fox. Is that what you picked up, Nathan?
That's what we've heard today, absolutely. Everyone has said the same thing.
And it's been unanimous, 100%. So, yes, we love Terry Fox, and I think I can say that. So does everybody here. Well, can you imagine here on Parliament Hill, I met so many truckers, but I haven't met any pastor till right now. John Lowry, who was a pastor with the Pentecostal Assemblies of Canada for all your life, is that right?
47 years. I still have my credentials there, but I'm retired at present.
I used to be with the Pentecostal Assemblies many, many years ago, but that's another story.
I know that.
What are you doing here on Parliament Hill?
Well, because I see that this is the tipping point for our nation. It's going to go one way or the other, and we have to stand for freedom and righteousness and truth. That's what this is all about. It's not a medical thing. It's an issue of truth. And we as pastors need to stand for truth.
Many of people here is not maybe active church people or whatever, but do you feel that there's a spiritual energy, spiritual power, even an impetus for what's happening here?
Oh, definitely. You can feel it in the air. I've been here for the last 2 days and just walking around, talking to ordinary people. And people just talking about what's going on in their lives and how it has impacted, this COVID thing has impacted upon them. And it's got to stop. It's got to change. And Peter, I'm very disappointed that I have not met. I don't know if I've met a single pastor here either.
Well, you're meeting one here now. And I was a little bit shocked, actually. I thought our Prime Minister had the opportunity in the press conference, it may still be going on right now, to maybe speak a word of reconciliation, to extend a hand of friendship, but he said not to associate with the people here because we here, because I'm here with you now, but you here have been incite to violence against fellow citizens. That's a quote unquote. It's fresh in my mind. What's your reaction to that comment?
Well, no, I have seen nothing like that. Over the past 2 days, I've seen a great joyous celebration. It's like pent-up frustration from the last 2 years is being released by the people here. And from one coast to the other, I've met people from the West Coast, Quebec. I'm amazed at the people from Quebec that are here.
And many.
Yes, yes.
They are strong.
And people need to stand up.
Have you seen any swastikas?
Nothing.
I haven't either.
I haven't heard a cross word during my 2 days here.
Any Confederate flag, any reported there was one. I guess if you find one among tens of thousands, okay. Yeah. But you haven't seen any of that?
No, nothing of that. Now, I did come upon one incident yesterday, and it was where a man from New Brunswick was actually accosted by a police officer. And because he was simply holding up a sign about human rights, standing up for human rights. And this police officer, he was out of order, and he slammed him against a police cruiser. His buddies, though, police officers, came and pulled that police officer away from him and told him to go sit in the cruiser.
Yeah, most of the police officers seem very friendly. I've been trying to engage them, but when they see this microphone, with our kind of media sign on it, they shy away, but they seem very friendly nevertheless.
Yes, and the police are just like you and I, Peter. Yeah. They're the same. I have a daughter-in-law who's a police officer. I love the police, and I pray for them, and we need to stand with them. And I go around, every police officer here, I go and talk to them and say, we love you, we support you, But remember, you've got to maintain the peace here.
I have one other question, and since you're the first pastor I'm meeting here on the Hill, I know my own thought on this. How would you, as a pastor in a local congregation, how would you like to have ushers that check a vaccine passport? And then, of course, they would have to refuse those who don't qualify from coming into the service. How does that sit with you in your heart and soul?
It doesn't sit well at all. It's terrible, and it's going that way unless this week, this happening here changes things. Let me tell you, you don't know of this, but I heard at a freedom rally a week ago in London, where I come from, talking to a lady there, and her son is on staff with the same denomination that I am in, a different church in our city. And she said that her son, as a young staff member, was forced by the senior pastor in that church to take the vaccine. And he said all of his staff had to take the vaccine. Now that is wrong, wrong, wrong. That's coercion. And there's no place in it in the Word of God.
No. And for me, You know, the very thought that I would say to some people after all these decades of ministry where everyone is welcome. Come just as I, you know, Billy Graham's used to sing that song, Just As I Am. Come one and all. It just sits wrong with me to stop people from coming into a church service. I mean, I say in Christ, there's neither vax or unvax.
Yeah.
You know?
And Peter, I have not heard one message in the last 2 years about how God has created us with a wonderful body and a wonderful immune system. Where is that kind of a message being preached by our pastors? Come on, this body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and we should not be allowing some kind of an untested, unproven
immune system that needs to be activated, needs to work, and it's working. Thank you so much again. Okay, God bless you.
Yeah, I hosted you together with Pastor Nathan Thurber in Toronto. It's probably 3 years ago now, you know, with everything that's going on, we haven't hosted a lot of people, and you were a part when I was in Vancouver there. You preached the message, and take this as a compliment. I still remember it. You talked about the golden image and the pressure to bow down to that golden image.
Yes.
And I haven't prepped you on that. This question in advance.
Shadrach, Meshach, and
Could you just look
Abednego.
into the camera and take about a minute
Yes.
and connect what you were saying there, Laura Lynn, about that golden image and the pressure. And I think it applies, and I think you know what I say. Just talk about that for a moment.
Well, it's absolutely amazing. History is repeating itself. We have a Pharaoh in our land, Pharaoh Trudeau, and he's asking people to bow basically to the COVID image, to the COVID tyranny. And before this came about a few years ago, it's the gender image. You know, it's all that's being done. It's very cold out here, but it's the gender agenda, right? It's the secular agenda to not respecting life. We are to bow to that image, and if we do not bow, then we will face the furnace. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were 3 Israeli boys who said, this far and no further. If we die, we die. Were they afraid? Yes, maybe they were afraid to be put into that furnace, but they decided that there was nothing more important than standing up for God, for Yeshua, and they did that. And when God allowed them to be taken to the fire. Isn't it funny that God does not work on our timetable? We would prefer that he stopped the bad guy before we got into the furnace, right? Before we faced, like that must have been a fearful and very hard thing. But they got into the Lord allowed them to be dragged into the furnace. And it was there that they danced in the furnace. And that was the moment they felt the breath of God on their face. And right now we're in the furnace.
Yeah.
We are in the furnace.
It's amazing that the fourth man, which is, of course, Jesus Christ,
yes.
It was in the furnace. And I can say from my own life, and I'm sure you can say that as well, that my most powerful experiences, encounters with God has been in the toughest times, not in the easy times.
Yes.
And so thank you for giving that message to us. What are you doing in Ottawa?
To protest all the mandates which are against our rights. I'm the tracker, and I cannot go make money because I cannot go over the border.
Did you come from a country where freedom was restricted?
Yes, I came. I came from Poland.
Do you think that sometimes people who are born in Canada are not as sensitive to these restrictions as people who have tasted communism or some restriction before like that?
I don't think they're sensitive. I don't think they know what's going on. Maybe with the time they will understand when the freedom is taken away from them, and they will realize.
I could see by one of the signs that obviously you are with some believers here, and we really haven't been asking people about that. But I thought, both a Canadian and a believer in Jesus Christ, what made you come here?
To stand for freedom, to stand for Canada, our country. Our freedoms are being depleted to an extent that we never thought that we would see here. And I am so proud, to move to tears, that my country has come together this way while the whole world watches and is inspired by us standing up for what is right, what is godly, what is true, what is free. Well, one of the signs that we have here today is that the church must gather. And I do think that a lot of the policies are discriminatory towards church, family, and the fundamental values that we hold as Christians. if we can't gather with one another, if we can't lay hands on the sick, as the Bible tells us to, it says in the Bible, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. We need to be free to do that.
I've seen the sign, my body, my choice, which was the people who were advocating free abortion for everyone. Now, of course, that slogan has been taken by people who are not sure about the vaccination. What do you think as a woman? My body, my choice. Comment on that for me.
I think that there is maybe some logic missing in the people who use that statement to defend abortion, because yes, this is my body, but inside, when I'm carrying a child, that's somebody else's body, and I don't have a right to take their life because their body's inside my body at that time. So I do agree with the statement, my body, my choice, for the freedom movement. We should not be coerced or forced to take in any substance that we don't want into ourselves. As for abortions, I think that is not an accurate statement.
And for the baby in the womb, we could say the baby's body.
It's the baby's
and
body.
it's not able to make a choice yet. And so thank you for articulating that. One of the frustrating things is so many even Christians don't know that Canada has one of the worst records in the world on this issue. We are there with North Korea and China. We're not even Europe. You know, I come from socialist country, Sweden. They have whole different approach to abortion, much more respect for the unborn.
It's still early. There's 2 or 3 hours till the rally on Parliament Hill, and we get there. Almost everybody we approach want to talk to us. Some of them, they so appreciate what we're doing, but they might be afraid. Some might be afraid of losing their jobs. It's so sad to see that in Canada. I noticed some of the trucks I went by, they all have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms posted in their window. I talked to some who come from Eastern Europe who were raised under communism, and it could be that they are more sensitive. They're more sensitive to the introductions of restrictions on our freedom. Maybe we who were born in a country, we have known nothing but democracy and freedom of speech, freedom of movement. We may have become desensitized. So some would write off these and say, well, they are too extreme. Well, you know what? Maybe they're sending a warning signals to all of us. Freedom is worth defending. All day I've been talking to strangers, but not right now. I've known you for several years, and Bavian, it's great to see you. Why are you here? This is your third day here.
Yeah, this is my third day. Yeah, this is like, first of all, let me tell you, this is, you can call this media, they will portray that like I am like a brown, white supremacist.
I was about to ask you, but I was going to save that for a bit later.
Okay. So I've been coming with my family here. This is the third day. First of all, the bottom line is that it's total peace here. Zero violence. Even children, they are feeling like total safe. You know, so there's no violence, no any kind of vulgarity or anything like those kind of thing. So that's the total lie that media is spreading, that there are like a violent people and those kind of thing. 3 days we have been here, we found zero violence here, right? So you can feel total safety just like you feel in your drawing room.
You know, with that, our Prime Minister was just on television, and he had the opportunity to extend a hand of friendship, of some cooperation, of reconciliation, but instead he said, and I quote, he said that you and the others who come here are inciting violence against fellow citizens. I want you to comment. Maybe you didn't hear it because you were probably on your way here.
Yeah.
What is your instinctive reaction to that?
Yeah, I would say it's total lie from hell. Right? There is nothing that anyone can provide evidence about that. Yeah, show us the evidence of multiple violence cases here, right? It's nothing like that. I have seen hundreds of children over here on Saturday, Sunday and today, right? So how can you have children, small children here, and they are running around? There is total safety here. There is nothing like that.
Your dad was talking about there's no sense of violence here, no sense of unrest. What is your impression?
Yeah, it's been relatively peaceful, and it's just about defending freedom for all Canadians. There's no sort of agenda behind this. It's just defending civil liberties.
And, you know, I don't want to pick on our Prime Minister. I wish that he would change, but I just asked your father, he had the opportunity about an hour ago in a press conference to speak kind words, words of conciliation, but instead he said that you all, and I guess we all, we are here to incite violence. We should not be associated with. We are inciting violence against fellow citizens. What is your response? What is your thought when you hear that?
Well, I've not seen violence here any of the days, and it's very like chill here. Everyone's like talking to each other, and there's little children playing around, so I haven't seen any violence.
So you're not going to attack me, are you?
No.
I wasn't really scared.
No.
What is your comment here?
Mandate freedom.
Yeah, that's the message.
And boycott mainstream media. Only just watch Rebel News, True News, Geo Hage.
And don't forget, you are loved with Peter Youngren as well.
Yes.
I saw your sign. You have a message that deals with the freedom for the country, but you are also, there's a clear Jesus-centered, Christ-centered, spiritual impetus in what you're saying. I want you to comment on that, Bobby.
Exactly. See, end of the day, if you have Jesus, right, and as a country, right, we repent. Repent means just, change our ways and thinking. And if we come to Jesus, all of this problem will be resolved, right? So there is more than this natural and governmental thing, is more about the spiritual. And Jesus is the answer for everything. So our real message is the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ, that God loves you, right? And only we need to trust Him. We cannot deny God from our society, from our government, right? And this country's foundation is based on the godly value.
I'm here with Kelly and Lee, and here you are Monday morning. I'm sure there are other things you could do on a Monday morning. Why is it important to be in Ottawa?
Human rights and freedoms.
Do you feel, give me some specific, how have those freedoms been restricted for you, or that you see in people around you?
Well, they can't travel. They can't. They're getting fired from their jobs. This stuff's against the law. Everybody knows. All you got to do is look into it and see that this is against the law. And yet we got people in here that are running roughshod right over top of the law, and it's disgusting. It can't happen. These guys aren't dictators. Just because they say they want to do something one way doesn't mean they're allowed to. They have to abide by the law like the rest of us, right?
And they should at least have a vote in Parliament.
I'm here for one word and one word only. It's freedom. It's the only reason we're all here. I'm not here for anything else. My kids deserve freedom.
We need to take Canada back. We traveled through Canada, and what we saw on the side streets of this country, minus 30, with women and their children in blankets and wrapped up and crying, telling us it's our last hope. It's pretty sad to think that we're in Canada. People are telling us that, and that's why I'm here.
What do you feel when political leaders are saying that your views are unacceptable, that you're a fringe? How does that make you feel in contrast to what you saw on that long trek from British Columbia?
When I heard those words come out of his mouth, I actually didn't believe it because I don't speak French, so I had a friend of mine from Quebec translate it, and they said, absolutely. He said what he said, word for word, and it burnt inside me so hard and deep because I know Canadians aren't like that. That's why I'm here.
I mean, it's very divisive. One of the other truckers I talked to, also from BC a little earlier, he was saying, we're here, we feel so united, and this is about unity. So is it those divisive words that cut to your soul, or tell us?
Absolutely, because I know that Canadians aren't like that. We're known in the world for being loving people. I travel a lot of places, and people give you a big hug and thumbs up when you're from Canada. This is what we are. This is who we are in Canada. We're not these racist terrorists. We're not, and I stand strong behind that.
Nathan, you've been helping me here today, and you've been hearing us. I've been talking to truckers and all kinds of people, even a pastor I talked to here. What are your impressions? Can you summarize? How do you feel? We spent a few hours here just walking and freezing and all that, but what's your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad we came because it's a different picture than what we saw for several days in the media. Being here has shown a different picture entirely, and that the violence, the hatred, we've seen love. We've not seen any of the attitudes that we've heard were here.
Have you seen any swastikas?
I haven't, and those that we've talked to said if there was, they would have torn it down. So I mean, the attitude is completely different than anything we hear in the media.
One of the things that surprised me, I don't know if it struck you, how much a strong representation from Quebec is here.
Yeah, absolutely. But and every province, you know, and what a different attitude. They have a whole truck for garbage, and they're walking around picking.
Talk about that, how they pick up their own garbage.
They're walking around with garbage bags, picking up garbage. I mean, it's like in a way, a love fest, a festival, and people are. So what a different attitude. They have a whole truck where they put all their garbage because there's no garbage cans. Nothing's prepared for them other than police officers blocking ways, you know. But so they do their own garbage pickup. They have trucks for that, you know. So it's completely opposite of what we're told it's like here.
And I think, I don't know whether that's encouraged from the city or from the government. Coffee shops, etc., seems to have closed down. Quite a few of them, not all of them, but we've seen trucks coming in with food and people just kind of help themselves. So there's a lot of goodwill here.
And the number of ex-military or military officers here are part of it.
Yeah.
And then to hear the narrative that the people are anti-military, just desecrating soldiers. These are military people here. These support the military, you know, so the attitudes are completely opposite of everything we're being told.
Yeah, well, thank you for your observations, and I think it's been something that we are going to remember for a long time. Thank you, Nathan.
I made a statement that you probably haven't heard it. Maybe you will.
Because we'll air it. What really got us to come here, when I saw the woman who was shouting freedom at the National War Memorial, who to me was just a woman who was happy to be in Ottawa. She wasn't dancing in disrespect. She wasn't desecrating the site. She was just wanting a picture taken when she said freedom. And then I thought, isn't that how you demonize people? You take a non-event and you spin it into something different, and then you put that in the headline and people believe it. And then you cause this animosity. It could be against Christians, it could be against Jews, it could be against any group, vaccinated, unvaccinated. And I know you come from India, you have a little bit different perspective. And by the way, your dad said he's not a white supremacist. I was getting worried. But I want you to comment on that because, you know, you have seen some persecution against Christians in your country. So can you, and we're not saying that Canada is there, but do you see danger signs?
Definitely. I've been seeing this for more than 6-7 years. I've been predicting this even. You know, in India, yes, definitely. India, Pakistan, everywhere, there is persecution against Christianity. But the thing is that over there you will see more like a physical kind of attacks here and there. Here is more like a mental torture, you know, and it's a very political. You cannot see, it's like a soft kind of thing, but it's really dangerous. And this is the time to wake up for all the Christians and everyone, you know, all the Canadians for the freedom.
Let me ask here, because your dad here is mentioning this we call it cancel culture, where there's a pressure. Sometimes we compare it with, you know, the biblical story of you got to bow to the golden image or you're thrown in the fire furnace. You know, maybe your dad and I have been around a bit, so maybe we can take it more. How do you feel? Are you aware of that pressure?
Oh yes, there's like pressure on social media. Everyone like expects you not to say anything, but their side is automatically right, like the left side. And then they can say whatever, post anything, but we have to think like so much before you post anything because like all our friends and everyone, no one's really like has the same way of thinking or even like disagreements. Like they just ignore it or they just disagree with you, which is fine. But you can feel like it's on you, the pressure that you can't say what you want, like the freedom. Yeah.
And Andy, anything you want to add to your sister?
Yeah, I just agree with that. There's a mainstream narrative, and it's sort of like bowing to the idols of Nebuchadnezzar, and you have to submit, otherwise you're canceled, you're doxxed, all of that. So it's time to wake up and have a little bit of courage in Jesus' name.
Now, let me just ask you, son, I hear that there's Nazi insignias everywhere. Have you seen any of these 3 days?
No.
How about you?
No.
Fabian, tell
Zero. You know, I tell people in India, we have lots of more freedom than we have in Canada. When I came in Canada 20 years ago, I never expected or imagined that I will see this day in Canada, that I will not have freedom and censorship, and I have to be like afraid of government.
No, I mean, it's like I say,
You know, a balanced television program, CBC, CTV, should be that you have someone who is against this protest, you have one of the organizers, a supporter of the protest, and you have a moderator. And both sides should speak and be given freedom. None of that doesn't even exist. But we found another trucker here where there's thousands of them, so it's not hard to find them. Here's Mike from Stony Creek. I'm going to ask you what I ask all the others. What are you doing in Ottawa?
Well, you know, I'm here because my dad was a trucker for Intercity Truck Lines for over 40 years, 37 years without an accident. He was a responsible trucker, just like most of the truckers here. But I'm just fed up with the media painting the people, the unvaxxed, the people that, and you know, there's a lot of people that are vaccinated that are supporting this too. They make it sound like it's just the unvaccinated.
What is the feeling? I mean, here we are now, it's minus 15 degrees right now, and it was even much colder a couple of days ago. What is the feeling? Is everybody like feeling depressed, or what are you picking up here?
The feeling is like one huge tailgate party. These people are pissed off, but you wouldn't know it by their faces. Everybody's happy, everybody's smiling. We ran into two people yesterday, and I'm sorry we didn't have our camera on. They were in the back streets where none of the protesters are, and they were anti-protesters. They had signs like, "Go home, you're an embarrassment to our country," kind of thing. And those were the angriest people I've seen all weekend. The two people were carrying anti-protest signs.
You know, people are with us here, Mike. You know, I was coming out of my hotel room this morning, and I think the cleaning lady in the hallway, she thought I was one of the truckers. Now, I'm not a trucker, but, you know, maybe could have been. And she was, of course, just working there. She was saying, "Oh, hang in there, keep going," you know. So I think there's a lot of support. Thanks for talking to us, Mike.
And I just want to give a shout out to the police. They've been fantastic. And I've seen CTV News this morning trashing the police for not doing enough to quell this protest. And they're doing the best. They're keeping the peace. I think Trudeau's really ticked off that nothing's happening that he could throw us under the bus for.
My passion is to set Canada free again. Oh, the last 2 years has been extremely difficult. It's unconstitutional, the way we've been treated. We're Canadians. We live in Canada, and Canada is known to be a free country, and the country I come from was not so free. So now we're here and being treated just like from where I come from, and this is wrong. We gotta change our country.
What country did you come from?
Mexico.
What are you experiencing with all these people?
Well, like I have been telling people back home constantly, it's too big for words. It is very emotional. It is undescribable how hungry people are for unity, how hungry they are for love. They are tired of being oppressed, and we are here to get our freedom back. And we will stay for however long it takes.
Here you are draped in a Canadian flag, yes, sir, which tells me something about you. You're a patriot Canadian.
Yes, sir.
What compelled you to come here?
Just to see this convoy. Everyone's really hurt by this. I don't know, you know, it's... I know a lot of people that have had the two shots and a booster and still getting the virus. So it's, you know, I don't know. It's not working. It's just not working.
Exactly. I came here on Friday, and I'm staying until it's over. And not over as in whatever happens, until this group decides to go, I'll stay here. And I will put myself and suffer myself until then.
Well, I'm here with Shorty from Prince Rupert, British Columbia. So you've traveled a long way.
Very long.
Tell us a little bit about the trip here.
Well, it was an incredible experience to see BC come together, but every province since has been amazing. Every community has made sure we are fed. Every community makes sure we're warm, and every community gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
So in view of that, when politicians, and you may know who I'm talking about in the media, call this a fringe, in view of what you have seen, give me your comment.
Well, in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, there is a religion of Hutterites.
Yes, and we know the Hutterites.
Now,
yeah.
we don't see those guys very often, do we?
No, we don't.
But those 2 days of travel, those two provinces, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. They were in groups of 50s, and then there'd be like a gap, and then another 50, and then another 100. Not one didn't stay in their house. Every single one came, and they fed 5,000 of us. It was amazing.
Now, Shorty, that is her real name, Shorty. She tells me so. I guess you're Short. Let me ask you this: I heard the Prime Minister say that you're violent. You're violent.
Oh no!
Should I be afraid of you? Are you
absolutely not.
packing something here that I don't know?
No, never. I'm one of the elders from the BC, Sault Ste. Marie. As a nurse, we help people heal. We don't pill them to death. We help them heal.
So you're saying the indigenous community, as far as what you're concerned, they have this cry for freedom. Yeah, if they have the same cry for freedom that other Canadians have.
And all the elders from all the provinces have come together.
When you hear the suggestion that you and others here are somehow inciting violence against fellow citizens, how does that make you feel?
Well, Pat King made an announcement last night. All trucks, stand down, no noise, go to sleep, get some rest. Tomorrow's a new day. And do you know what happened? This whole city was quiet.
So it's very orderly.
Very. The First Nations elders from BC to East Coast are finally doing this to say,
that's
hey.
the hopes of dreams of all people.
British Columbia is digging up baby bodies every day. And nobody gives a flying beep. And that's not fair. Those are my children. Those are my elders' children. My elders have suffered for years and years, knowing that their babies are in the ground with no tombstone and no date.
In spite of that dreadful tragedy, you're still speaking words of compassion. That's what I hear coming out of you.
I have stood ground for 3 days, and I have not moved. And for that, I would go buy big crates of coffee and make sure first thing in the morning all these truckers are warm. I would make sure that there's food. We all did. Every one of those 74,000 trucks that came out of Thunder Bay in the West Coast, we all made sure we were protected together.
I'm talking to another gentleman here who tells me a compelling story about people in the military being kicked out during this pandemic. Can you tell our viewers?
Yeah, I'll tell the same story here. I met a guy who's with me right here, and I only met this fella 2 weeks ago at a local rally. We decided to come down here. It's all about the freedom. As I found out, this gentleman, this guy here, Dan, he has a son in the military. He's been threatened to be kicked out of the military because he won't get vaccinated. Okay, so that's one side of it. We got a hotel about an hour away 2 nights ago. The pizza guy came. The guy was just full of emotion, like you wouldn't believe. This guy was delivering pizzas, and how coincidental, how ironic this is unbelievable. But he's a helicopter mechanic, also in the military. He's been threatened he's kicked out. He's now delivering pizzas. Now just think about this. I'm telling the whole world, just think about this. These guys have signed up to defend this country, and they're being kicked out because they will not take a vaccine. You tell me what's right, and you tell me what's wrong. And this is all about freedom. They just keep putting. If you acknowledge this government the way it's operating, shame on Canadians, because you've lost all your freedom. We got to stand up to our freedom. This has been a peaceful protest, 100%. Whatever the mainstream media is putting out there is completely, totally false. This is what's happening here.
It's very cold today, but what are you doing in this cold city?
We're waiting here to somebody to change this mandate. We just want to drive truck through the US and come to Canada and no vaccine. That's it.
How are you enjoying being here as far as meeting other people?
People is very nice. I saw so many nice people here, and I feel safe. Nothing what I hear from the radio.
It's mandates. It's really out of line. It's beyond what. Well, I mean, for freedom, obviously, but these things should never get forced on anybody. And if they brought that up a year ago, the whole thing would have not flown. Took off. But because it's gradual steps, and where are they going to stop? I don't know.
It's the idea of boiling the frog slowly. You don't notice how the heat. Now, you coming up, were you seeing crowds along the road?
Oh yeah. So when we left from Sarnia, there was a few of these trucks. My friends around the corner, and a lot of cars and things. And then the first overpass was just local people, and the next overpass was full of people, and the next one had even more. And so I don't know how many people we had up here Saturday and Sunday, whether it was a mill or 2 mil, I don't know, but it's hard to count. But
So that would be quite emotional for you to see all those people.
and all the people on the way. I said to my wife, she's riding with me, but we didn't get tired of blowing the horn at the overpasses. I said, this is beautiful. I'm going to miss this on the way home. But so what I'm trying to get at, there's a percentage of the people here, but there's way more than that supporting it. This is huge.
Oh, I'm just here because I just felt the calling to come. I mean, if you could put it akin to like a salmon being drawn to come upstream. I mean, I see our freedoms slipping away in this country, and I was just called to do something about it, and I really had no choice.
I like your phrase here, I'm awake, I'm Canadian. So,
yeah, like I said, it's not anything to do with woke.
No.
That's a four-letter word.
That word has come to mean something different.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, has the restrictions and all the different orders we have received, has that affected you personally during the last 2 years?
Well, I'm self-employed, so it hasn't shut me down. I'm not affected by mandates or anything like that. But the people around me are affected by that. And I see that as a complete infringement on our Charter of Rights and our Constitution, and it's totally illegal. And that should say everything.
But that even tells me, because we met people here, we met people from the Canadian Army who are either have lost their jobs, even a captain, we talked to someone, and not everybody's on camera. And so this is affecting people, but just the fact that it hasn't personally cost you your livelihood is even stronger. You're here for the country then.
Oh, exactly. I'm 100% Canadian, and I've never felt more Canadian in my life than I've been since I've been here.
So,
the love that's here is just incredible. This is where the real Canadians are in this country right now. They're gathered in Ottawa, right here. This is, if you talk to them, they're all about love, peace, and freedom.
So I saw a tweet from a union boss who was inferring this is extremism, racism, whatever ism word they could pull out. Yeah. What would you say to Canadians watching when they hear those kind of things, whether on Twitter or whatever, this kind of dark propaganda? What would you say to Canadians?
I would say that there is a huge network of lies going on in order to enable this government to do horrible things to the people. I don't want to get into the details, but freedom is the tip of the iceberg. If we can get our freedom, then we can start dealing with the other issues.
Well, I'm here talking to a lady we just ran into from Winnipeg, so it's minus 15 today. I guess that's nothing to you, right?
Well, to be honest, minus 15 here feels colder than in Winnipeg. It's the humidity here.
Yeah, I know Winnipeg well, have a lot of friends there. What compelled you to come to Ottawa?
I love my freedom, and I want my freedom back. Because of my age, I think maybe the lockdown hasn't been quite as detrimental as it would be to young people. But I see the pressure it's put on my children, and like they've had to be vaccinated in order to work. Had daughters that were pregnant and were vaccinated in order to keep on working. So I think it's really put a lot of pressure on them, and like even financially. I'm here for Canada. I love Canada. I haven't loved Canada very much for the last couple of years, and I've been grieving for Canada, and I just really felt that, I had to do something.
Grieving is a form of love as well. Actually.
Absolutely, because I love Canada. I was grieving for Canada, absolutely, and we weren't going to come. Then we were going to come. I just got this feeling I just had to be here. I said I'd drive here alone if I had to. So,
what do you say to Canadians who are listening to mainstream media that? To summarize it, describe this as almost like a hate event. What would you say? What's really going on here?
Wow. You're not getting the straight bill of goods from the mainstream media at all. This is, I've never been at such a wonderful, the energy, the love, people are helping each other. I mean, I've seen no violence, and it's just been a wonderful, uplifting experience to be here.
Alex, you've been with me in many places in the world, and here you're with me today in Ottawa. And you're an immigrant. I'm an immigrant, a little younger age than you. What's your impression of all this?
It's amazing, and I'm so glad that you make that move. And it really shows that today the Canadian are really one country of love and peace.
You know, it seems a lot of people have the idea that this is some kind of a hatred event or some dark, extreme event. What have you been feeling? We've been talking to people here nonstop, it seems.
Since this morning, I feel that the country still a country of peace and love. People are helping. I mean, I just came in the opposite way to see how clean the city still in the winter time. And guess what? It's the truckers are cleaning the place. They're cleaning what the thing that they call the hatred. But they're cleaning the place that shows the people that this is a united country of peace and love. And I was shocked.
Well, I appreciate you. Yeah. You came along just to make sure that when I was doing interview, no one would assault me from the back. But I don't think you have had a lot of work in that area.
No. It was peaceful, yeah.
The picture here, and I talked to them, I think every province, almost every province, it's joy, it's love, it's unity. It's not the dark picture that the media is giving, where these are somehow questionable extremists. Because they're concerned. They take it very serious. They have a serious concern for our country. But there's kind of a joy and a happiness mixed in with that, which makes it so wholesome. I tell you, this has been beautiful to visit and talk with them. Let me tell you why I came here. We had Sunday church yesterday. We got in the car. Pastor Nathan is with me here, and some TV people with me. I think we have a classic case here of how you demonize and marginalize people. It could be in the Jews, it could be Muslims, it could have been truckers, it could be Christians, it could be anything. When I saw the woman at the National War Memorial, and she struck me as kind of an innocent woman who was happy to be in Ottawa, and she shouted freedom. That became that she was dancing in disrespect at the National War Memorial. That's just a lie. Then the defense minister, Anita Anand, began to speak how this was the most reprehensible act. Of course, that's quoted in television, it goes to radio, it goes to print media. That woman is being demonized. That is so wrong. She deserves respect and human dignity. And in the sense, that is being spun. It's how you take a non-event and make it something to marginalize people. That's classic, how Christians are persecuted all over the world. They take some story and make them look evil. That's what's happening here. And I just said, I can't sit in my cozy home. We got to get up there and talk to people. So that's why we are here.
And they're doing that about the Terry Fox Memorial.
Yeah.
You know, saying that there's defacing it with an upside down flag or something. They came down here and made sure that there was nothing on that because we're not about that.
You know, I've talked to several truckers about this. And every trucker, of course, I think about every Canadian, I can't speak for every single one, unlike our Prime Minister who speaks for all Canadians. I would say most of them have a deep appreciation for Terry Fox. How can you not appreciate Terry Fox? You got to be pretty cold-hearted in my view. So somebody had left an upside-down flag. Now, I talked to one member of the Royal Legion. He didn't like that. But I talked to someone else. You know, all that they were trying to do is saying our nation is in distress. So I can see both sides of it, no ill intent, but that is being spun out of proportion. Not only, it's being twisted in a way that is so evil that in whatever small way I can, I want to send a message. That is not what's happening. Whether you like what's going on or not, what the media is saying is simply evil. And for that poor woman, I wish I could meet her and shake her hand and say, you know what, a lot of us could see through what CTV was running like on a loop all day yesterday.
How ridiculous.
Yeah.
They don't report on all the love down here,
No.
all the, shaking hands, linking arms, solidarity, standing for freedom. You understand that many wars, I know you study history. Do you believe that we need to have good strategies and tactical maneuvers that are peaceful as we continue? Because the honeymoon's over.
Yeah.
We had the big crowds. We have a great crowd out today, but it could
It's
get...
Monday. It's Monday. I mean, you know, and let me just go back to this. My wife, Tina, she was watching, you know how they introduced the news for the first 5 minutes? So it was 4.5 minutes about this woman who just wanted to take a picture and say freedom. And about the Terry Fox statue where there were just people who appreciate Terry Fox. And then it was like kind of 30 seconds, oh, by the way, no arrest. It was peaceful. It's kind of like, you know, at the end of the article, except this was a television program. And this is just, people just read the headlines. It's so sad. Toronto Star today, so sad. I haven't seen any swastikas. I haven't seen one Confederate flag. I've seen a lot of Canadian flags. And yeah, you know, so I had to speak up. I'm not as active in politics as you are, but I couldn't sit still anymore. So I'm here.
So glad you're here, because people like yourself and myself are spreading the truth.
Yeah.
And it is now a media war.
Yeah.
And information, you know, knowledge is very important. The Word of God speaks of this.
And share this. I tell people that not enough, share this. Because all of us compounded, maybe we can have a little bit of an effect. You know, we're not CBC and we're not CTV. They have a platform that is unparalleled. But maybe together we can rally and share good things from what others are saying and what we are saying ourselves. And so I hope they'll do that. I hope your viewers will do that.
Final question, what is your best advice to the truckers as they have made this massive stand for our nation?
You know, I feel almost unworthy to give them any recommendation. I have such high respect. I meet people who have traveled all the way from British Columbia. You know, this is a big country. If they will hold on and if they will stay, I say, we say thank you. But I wouldn't dare to make a recommendation. I understand the price they are paying, but that would be my hope. Let me say this. My daughter and my son in Niagara area, and two of my grandchildren, one was 1 year old and one is 3 months old. They were standing along the roadside when the truckers were coming up that way. And my daughter called me, she said, Dad, and she was kind of emotional. She said, you know, it's like our hopes and dreams for a better Canada and a free Canada is with those trucks. And I want to say that as an encouragement to the truckers. I think millions feel the same way.